Big Sills! Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. EAGLES, Eagles. There you go, as promised and as advertised. Hey, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word, man. I got to tell you something. 9-1. Amazing job. In stretches of that football game, Hurts was awful. QBR rating of 32. But when it mattered, he made 2 plays that helped win that game. And in a game like that, on the road, in a place like that, in a hostile environment like that, against a quarterback like that, you know, they're bitching in Kansas City right now about drops. Okay? I see it, Des. That's who that team's been all year long. They can't score in the second half, and it's a team of drops. You can't use that against Philly when you've been that team all year. You cannot use that. And just put it, well, that's why we lost it. You've been playing like that all year. And get this, you know how I told you guys you'd get caught with some of the things that you're not proficient at defensively? Well, they got caught doing some of the shit that they're not good at, which is at the wide receiver position. And it played out against a good team last night. And it just so happens that Kansas City has to deal with that. Dude, Travis Kelce, hey, Mr. Travis Swift, you were horrible last night. A streetwalker shut you down last night. Seriously, Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham, streetwalkers, shut you down last night. I don't know if you're worried about your podcast, your new chick, or whatever, but that's not an Eagle thing. Like I said, Eagles were completely outplayed in that ball game, all across the board until you got into the second half where Sean Desai was the star of the game. I want to put something out there for you, too, before we get into my takeaways. Here's the difference between you and the fraud Cowboys. People in the media are going around crowing and crowning Dallas for beating the Giants and the Panthers. You, on the other hand, your last 2 wins are the Cowboys and the Chiefs. I don't know about you. There's nothing lucky about a drop pass late in the game. When you have beaten the Cowboys and the Chiefs and you're 9-1, that's not luck, my friends. That's making your luck. That is the most you are stringing together now impressive wins. I don't give a shit. What I just said about Jalen not playing well in that game, who fucking cares? I mean, you're in Kansas City going, the Eagles got. How many weeks are you going to say that about the Philadelphia Eagle team, that they're 9-1 lucky? You got to stop the conversation, man. Okay, you tried to downplay the Dolphins. Now when you start putting Dolphins, Chiefs, Cowboys, you now have a resume where you're doing this. Well, let me match mine up against your resume and see how we are. Jalen now the front runner for the MVP. We'll get to that too. Hey, by the way, A.J. Brown, sit down and shut the fuck up. Sit your ass down. I'm tired of it. Shut up. Sit down. I am sick of it. Going over there bitching at Hurts about an INT. Don't you think he knows that? Sit your ass down. He's the leader. You lead behind him. Shut up. Sit down. It's unbecoming of a 9-1 team. I'm sick of his shit. That's right. David goes, Hurts handled it. I'm going to say something to you about Jalen Hurts. I've never seen a guy in my life since Tom Brady that gets in front of a microphone and gets in front of a reporter on the sidelines or gets in front of a press conference and a scrum and the way he handles himself like a complete professional. As an Eagle hater, we're running out of ammo. It's pain. I'm telling you, shooter, that's the mark of a great team, knocking all the obstacles down. Okay? Dre, don't have a lot of hate for him. Just tell him to sit down. Shut your face. Jalen handled it. Hey, Jalen handled it where 80% of the quarterbacks in the league wouldn't have handled it. He was sensational in how he handles his football team. Here are my takeaways. The Chiefs completely dominated the game on both sides of the football when it came to the lines. Their O-line was better than yours, and their D-line was better than yours, yet you overcame. There was clearly a definite throw in the second half, obviously, that the receiver should have caught, not on Philly. Get better people. Get better people. That's not a Philly thing, he dropped it. By the way, I love the way Patrick Mahomes handled it. He defended his wideouts today, as you should. And the loss of Bieniemy is a thing in KC. Travis Kelce either has to determine he wants to be a TV star, a groupie, or a tight end. Hurts struggled still with pressure. 5 sacks. You surrendered. Your O-line was hammered. Hammered. DeAndre Swift was excellent. I do think that the Eric Bieniemy and Tyreek Hill effect is now on display as a tandem this year. You're now seeing the effect of both men not being there. I thought without a doubt that the second half adjustments by Sean Desai was clearly spectacular. And by the way, Kansas City destroyed your run defense all night long. And for them not to continue to run the ball, that was on them in the second half. What I loved about what the Eagles did, because they weren't very good in the passing game, 11 of the 12 carries for Hurts were in the second half. I mean, when you look down the line, you didn't do anything really well in that game except make the most important plays, which is the most important thing. And I do think it's a statement game. By the way, I think that the loss of Dallas Goedert was felt in both the run game and in the pass game. Kansas City destroyed the O-line. I mean, he was constantly being pressured. And he was sacked. Guys who we don't see giving up sacks, we're giving big hits up on the quarterback. And Jalen Hurts still to this day struggles at pressure. The defense and the linebackers did such a sensational job on Travis Kelce that he had to go to guys who were the third and fourth best receivers on that team, which was a mismatch even for a struggling secondary. Okay? Chris Jones completely dominated that football game. Cam Jurgens got killed in that game last night. Okay? Hurts had almost no time in the first half. Chiefs defense is for real. I got to tip my hat. Here's what you tip your hat, though. To a team that's been through it all. Let me tell you something about your fucking team. It kept its poise when nothing was going right. Nothing. They kept their poise on the road because they had been in that fire and in that type of limelight for so many months now that they kept their poise. Kansas City lost their poise. Once you got the lead, I didn't think Kansas City was going to win. They just looked like they panicked. Okay? He kept everything. Boy, I'll tell you, Jalen Hurts, you couldn't tell if he didn't throw for 450 yards last night. Thank you. Hey, Danella, my aunt will remind me. Thank you very much. You couldn't tell if he didn't throw 450 yards or 50 yards. He's got the same attitude. It's a Tony Dungy mentality. The loss of Goddard was amplified by BJ being stupid. I got it. I'm with you, man. Let's go by the numbers here a little bit. 21-17. Eagles are now 9-1. Chiefs fall to 16 or 7-3. First downs. KC 23. Eagles 16 first downs. I think that's your lowest number of the year. Third downs, you were horrible. Third, 3 for 11. Kansas City was 8-17. Here's what is the most remarkable thing. And this shows your poise. You ran 54 plays in an NFL football game. They ran 20 more plays than you. If you told me Kansas City would run 20 more plays than you and lose, I would tell you you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. KC gets 20 more cracks at it than you did, and they lost. Something happened. We're going to get to it. Total yards. You had 200. If you had 54 plays and only 238 yards and 16 first downs, and you told me you were going to roll into Kansas City and win, I would tell you that's not happening. They had 336 yards in total offense. You had 124 yards passing. Now, again, as a team stat, they account for the sacks, not on player stats. Okay, so those numbers will look a little different. What makes it more interesting is both teams had 12 drives. That's right. It's insane because of the patience. The coaching staff, in my opinion, you ready? Outcoached Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. I don't think so much Spagnuolo. I think the two coaches on defense were spectacular yesterday. I think they were both spectacular. I think Andy Reid, again, some situations in there, I don't know. The offensive defensive coordinators made adjustments. Dude, that second, don't try to convince yourself that Brian Johnson did a good job in the second half. He didn't. The only adjustment they made was running the ball more. Prince, passing game was atrocious. 11 of the 12 runs that Hurts had in that ball game were all in the second half. They went back to doing what we said they had to do to win, running the ball, even if they weren't getting positive yards. Brian Johnson was not great in that game. He was okay. Desai was spectacular. Sean Desai was spectacular. Okay? Spectacular. Talent won that game. Absolutely, Tone. Talent won that game, not coaching on that side of the ball. And by the way, stop, Kansas City fans, with the fucking drops. That's a you thing, dude. That's like me sitting here when I rip the fact that Howie doesn't want to pay for linebackers. You would know that I was full of shit if I did this. Hey, man, they won that game because of all those drops. Well, guess what? What do I do here with you guys? You're cheap at linebacker. You're cheap at safety. And then for me to turn around and go, hey, you only won that game because they have shitty wide receivers they don't want to pay for. That's contradicting your assessment of how you see teams. If I was in Kansas City, I'd be ripping the general manager and the coach for not getting quality guys in there for him. That's right, senor. They're cheap at wideout. Here's the incredible thing again. I don't know what it is. Why is Kansas City able to run the ball 3 straight games on you for 170 yards as an average? How in the world can they do that? They destroyed your number one run defense. They had 120 yards in the first half alone. Crushed you. 2 turnovers to 1. Here's the other thing. Time of possession wasn't off base. 32 minutes for the Chiefs, 27 for the Eagles. That's in the same ballpark. I wish I had an answer for that, Sills. I have no idea. It's got to be the quarterback and the fear of the quarterback moving around and running up the field. That you fear Mahomes getting running yards, because he did last night. I think he got about 39. You need a shotgun to beat Hurts out. He just wins. I concur. Player stats. Eagles. Hurts, 14 to 22, 150, pick, 64.6 QB rating. Mahomes wasn't much better. But here's the significant thing. 24-43. 177, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 71-6. Here's my problem with that number. You crushed the Eagles in the run game in the first half. Why didn't you stick with it? Andy didn't want to. You were killing him. Why would you come off that? Andy Reid outthought it, in my opinion, and he overcooked it. Andy Reid, in theory, got outcoached by Sean Desai. He did. You could blame the drops, but why'd you get away from the run game? You were killing them. I mean, all you have to do is watch the game. They annihilated the Eagle run defense. Annihilated. Okay? Swift was the star of the game. 12 carries, 76 yards, 6.3 a carry. Ran hard, ran tough. Touchdown. Pacheco was good too. 19 carries, 89 yards. I thought Swift was better. Devontae, thank God. The crybaby, the human crybaby on the sidelines, I'm sure hates this number because he had 1 catch. They shut his ass down too. By the way, the 2 dudes that we were looking at that would have big games, Travis Kelce and A.J. Brown, were both shut down. Not just shut down, but shut out, basically. 6 catches, 99 yards in a very tough place to play, in a very good defense. He had big numbers. 99 yards in a game like that against Kansas City is a freaking absolutely spectacular game. Justin Watson, I mean, how many people did he throw the ball to? 10 or 11? On defense, Kevin Byard, 8 tackles. He was great. He was great. Reddick with a sack right at the beginning of the game. You know what that did with that Reddick sack? That made them do this. Let me tell you the importance of what that sack was at the beginning of that game. Kansas City realized they just couldn't put a tight end on his ass. That they had to get somebody else out there because they didn't want to have Brock Purdy in Kansas City and have anything like what happened in that NFC Championship game to their own quarterback. It forced them to change formation a bit. Didn't you see that? It forced them to make adjustments from going from they thought they could handle him with a tight end, but after he hit the quarterback the way he did, it must have been in the first series. You have to adjust on that, and that's a personnel adjustment that you didn't game plan for. You had to do that on the fly in the middle of the game. So they had to do personnel adjustments. Right there, hey, we can't have our guy hit like that. It's the second freaking play of the game. Can't have that happen like that. We have to get a bigger body on him. That set the tone for moving around personnel. It's a little tiny thing, but it's a big thing. Because that sets your strength to one side of the field or another when you have bigger personnel settings. They were working from the weak side a lot in that game last night because they had to account for him. It's a big deal. Mahomes likes to throw to the wide side of the field. A lot of the shit they were doing was to the short side. That's hurting. That's the side hurting. Mahomes, they did exactly what I said they would. They forced them with Reddick's pressure to go to one side of the field, the weak side of the field, making him only have to look in the middle of the field to the hash. That's how important that was in that hit on the second play of the game. Okay? Chris Jones was he was the best football player on that field yesterday. 5 tackles, 2 sacks, and destroyed. I mean, he's had 8 quarters against the Eagles where he's annihilated you. You've had no answers for him. Shit, the kid Trent McDuffie was awesome in blitzing. Had 4 tackles and 2 sacks himself. Spagnuolo is excellent at what he does. Kansas City, I don't know what's going on with them, with their personnel and their offense, but their defense is exceptional. Okay? Chris Jones almost forced Kelsey and Lane into retirement. Killed them all, man. Whoever he lined up on, he owned them. Thank you for what you do, Sills. I need that W last night in the worst way. As my family took an L an hour before the kickoff, I had to put my chocolate lab to sleep. Thank you for the distraction. John, that's terrible, man. I hate doing that. We're going through that now with a little bit of one of our guys, too. A little ill right now. I hope it gets through it, but nothing like having to do that. I'm an animal guy, John. That's the worst thing on the planet. I feel for you, brother. I'm glad we can have some fun here, kind of make you think about other things a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's a shitty thing. Andy Reid made Mahomes look like McNabb. Fair. Fair. Okay? Okay? It's fair. All dogs go to heaven? Of course they do. All animals do, dude. St. Nicholas. Has Sills made excuses for why we beat the Chiefs? Why don't you answer that, guy? You beat the Chiefs because of guts. Not panicking. You played a horrible game. And you won. There's no telling what you can do. Replaying the Sills, singing Fly, Eagles Fly. Ain't no excuses in what you saw last night. You don't have to play your A game. All you have to do is win a game. And you didn't play at all very good last night. Kansas City got you in every single area of the football field except the most important one and only one that counts. Scoreboard, bitch. Scoreboard. I'm not, dude, if this was college football, this is a different conversation because you got to look better for the so-called beauty contest. This is not a beauty contest. This is going to be about who wins home field advantage. This is going to be about who wins the final game of the year. This is nothing more than anything. You don't get. There's no such thing as luck when you're 9-1. That I don't subscribe to that. Is it lucky that the Patriots are 2-8? I mean, I don't subscribe to that bullshit. Eagles are a bad 9-1 team? Okay, I'll take it. The Eagles are the worst 9-1 team. Okay, sure. You want to look at it that way? And let me guess, the Cowboys are the better team at 7-3. This is what I'm trying to tell you here. In crazy comments like that, people are going to look and go, hey, the Cowboys are playing great ball too. No, they're not. The Eagles just beat the Cowboys and the Chiefs. You beat the Giants and the Panthers. I missed that super chat, Tone, if you could put that last one up for me, please. I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Love Andy, bud. I said for weeks the Chiefs now look like Andy Reid's Eagles. Really good tight end, QB, rotational running back, just dudes at wide receiver and a great D. I'll say this to you, man. People are going like this and asking me questions like, what's wrong with Kansas City? I go, nothing. They've played like that all year. Can't score in the second half. When's the last time they scored points in the second half? When was the last game they did? Okay? Kevin Byard was great. Let me get to my game balls. We won every game this season the same way. Okay? This is his third straight game with no points in the second half for the Chiefs. Then why in the world would I sit here and go like this? What happened to Kansas City? The drops cost them. Dog, this is 3 games in a row. This is a you thing. This is not a Chiefs thing. Or an Eagles thing, excuse me. Here's my game balls. In this order. I got Devontae Smith. And by the way, I'm going to give you guys a chance to react. Hey, Rocksteady, I thought he was going to get that interception, Jalen Carter. I'd never seen that before. He dives through the center's legs, and when he grounded it, it popped straight up. He would have changed the way you do that play forever if he would have got that pick. Because what if that guy does that and pounds it back? You're going to get the Joe Pisarcik play. I thought Jalen Carter was going to intercept the ball. Devontae Smith gets my game ball 1. Played tough. He's kept his mouth shut, unlike that other guy on the other side. Shut your mouth, A.J. Brown. I'm tired of you making scenes on the sidelines. Try to act with some decorum and some professionalism. You look like a bitch. It's unbecoming. You're winning. Relax. Game ball 2. DeAndre Swift. Really a tough ball game. That, to me, was the best game he's played against that team. Those other games, I don't care. He had more yards. You're doing it against the heavyweight champion of the world in their park. Okay? Philly 500 will join us at 4:30. And, of course, the segment with Tone at 3:30. Game ball 3 goes to Kevin Byard. Great game. You brought him to Philly. Get this. So he doesn't play well in those other games, but he goes into Kansas City and wins, as far as I'm concerned, that's a win for Howie Roseman. Okay? Hey, by the way, if this is a public service announcement to any NFL team out there that's in search of a general manager, if you want a general manager, what I would do, I would knock on the door at the end of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I would go get Alec Halby, the assistant to the general manager, who does all the analytics, all the evaluation of players for Howie. He takes it. He's the number 2 guy in that building, from what I'm being told. You want a general manager? Alec Halby is your guy. That guy is the next dude up to become a general manager in this league. That's Howie's right-hand man. That's the guy, in my opinion, Chicago should go after. Carolina should go after. I would think that Tennessee should go after, maybe even New England. I would hire that guy right after the Super Bowl. Okay? Alec Halby is the next guy up out of that building to help build the franchise into a Super Bowl contending team. He is a hidden secret in that building. I'm not so sure he's a secret any longer, because what he does all the analytics. He evaluates pro and college personnel for Howie. He is involved in the game planning when it comes to the type of structure and the culture they're going to have and what type of style of offense and defense. He is the second most important person in the Philadelphia Eagle front office. If you're in need of somebody, go get him. Okay? Go get him. Number 4, I'm going to give it duel to Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham. They completely shut down Travis Swift. Was a non-factor. Almost looked not even engaged when he was out there. Critical fumbles and drops. I mean, dude, I'm not very high on him right now after that performance. Personally, I don't think he's engaged right now in the game. He doesn't play like he's focused on the game. Is it Taylor Swift? You know what I think it is? I really don't think it's Taylor Swift. I think it's everything that's going on in his life. He's trying to balance and juggle everything in his life, and he's not doing a very good job of it. I mean, he looks slower. He looks not as engaged. I don't know. That guy, and he's talking retirement. Yeah, but he's looked like that the entire year. I got Reddick game ball 5. I'm going to get to all you guys' takes here on what you guys saw tonight or last night in the game here in a minute. I put Reed Blankenship as my game ball 6. Devontae, DeAndre Swift, Kevin Byard, Zach Cunningham, and Nicholas Morrow. Guy who was cut. Hassan Reddick, because he changed formation. And Reed Blankenship. Guys were great. And if you really want to go to the coaching staff, Sean Desai was spectacular in that game. Can you imagine this? All of a sudden, you're watching your number 1 rush defense get annihilated. And you've got to slow them down and figure it out on the fly in Kansas City at Arrowhead with a guy who's never lost in November. And you've got to do all of that. And that ain't analytics. That's gut. That's having to think what to do. You know what his game plan was? He was going to stop Kelsey because he believed no matter what they had, they couldn't beat him with those other guys. He turned out to be right. Well, the guy dropped the ball in the end zone. Sean Desai knew that he would drop the ball in the end zone. He game planned for that. You think he's playing like that if Tyreek Hill is back there like that? Never. He had so much confidence, not in his own guys. He had so much confidence in himself, he believed that they didn't have enough talent to beat him. Unlike Jonathan Gannon. Not being able, playing press. Jonathan Gannon, the difference between Jonathan Gannon and Sean Desai is balls. Not analytics, balls. Sean Desai is going to be a head coach. He's going to be a head coach. That's DeMeco Ryans in the making. Do you know in that building today, when he walks in and that defensive staff is there and those players are there, they're going to give him a standing ovation for what he did. You're going to give him a standing ovation today when he walks into that room. That's about as good a coaching job as I've seen in 2.5 years covering the Eagles. That right there is how you do it. Not the best talent on the planet in the secondary, but you know what he said? They can't beat me. Yeah, but I got to put him in form. No, you don't. I don't think you can do it. And if you can, get this. That last play was symbolic of that entire game and how he saw that game. He had to think when that ball was up, it was a 50. Any other legitimate NFL receiver makes that play, right? Anybody makes that play. He went, they can't. And they didn't. And when Kelsey's putting the ball on the ground, it's playing right into what his thinking is. He was so great. Man, best defensive coaching job that you have had probably since Jim Schwartz was here. Now, let me get to Jalen. Awful game. And yet, a statement game. That's a game. You beat them. You beat them. Doesn't matter how it looked. You beat them. You made the play in the game that beat them. Blankenship saved at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. He's spectacular. Yes, Edie. Jalen Hurts and his leadership in that game, keeping everybody calm, including that idiot on the sideline, A.J. Brown, and keeping everybody calm, starting to run. He ran the ball in the second half. He took over the game when he had to. He did the things in the game that needed to win. Jalen Hurts is not going to be an MVP candidate that's going to put up 1 billion yards in anything. But you know what he's going to do? At the end of the day, what is truly most valuable player? Made adjustments and put a spy on Mahomes unless, like Gannon and Mahomes killed us in the Super Bowl in the second half. It's a great observation. Jalen Hurts is not going to have insane passing numbers. Like, he's just not. But if you tell me your football team is 9-1 and you're accounting for it, what does he have right now in touchdowns? 24 total on the ground and throwing. So you tell me this guy has 50 touchdowns at the end of the year and he's accounted for 50 touchdowns. And say he's around 4,200 yards passing, 4,100, and he's around in there. There are going to be media people that aren't going to give him because he's not going to have spectacular numbers. Like some of these other guys, 5,000, 50, just not. I don't know. Again, it's because they don't really watch the Eagles enough. So Jalen makes some audible calls in the game. Might be big going forward. Yes, Q. Great. I don't think the people that – because see, you know what people do when they're voters? I'm a voter. But I don't do this. You know what people do? They look at box scores instead of watching games. Like, to me, the MVP race, and we'll do a little bit. Here, wait, I'll do it now. Here's my MVP race right now. After what I saw last night, I got McCaffrey 10, Niners. I got Jared Goff 9. I got Josh Allen 8. I got Dak 7. I got CJ Stroud 6. I got Brock Purdy 5. I got Tua 4. I got Mahomes 3. I got Lamar Jackson 2. I got Jalen Hurts 1. You have to get extra credit for being 9-1. You have to. You don't get extra credit, but some voters give a guy extra credit because you know what they're doing now? Can I tell you how they're chipping away at his MVP candidacy and his run for it? Remember what I told you? If he goes 4-1 over this next run, he wins it. If he goes 4-1 over this next 5 games, I don't know how you don't give it to him. Or how he hasn't earned it. But you know what they're doing to chip away? Well, he's got AJ and he better be able to do all that. Is he the best player in his offense? They're trying to make a case for Brock Purdy. And I went like this. Does anybody actually look at Brock? Brock Purdy's a nice player. But does anybody even think Brock Purdy's the best offensive player in his own huddle? Do you think Brock Purdy's the best offensive player in the 49er huddle? Do you think he's the best offensive player in their huddle? Okay. Once again, but you can't. Vibes goes, Josh Allen tosses all over, but does he win anything? Jalen hasn't won anything either. Okay? Sills is so right. If you could win MVP by putting up great stats but still losing games, Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, dude, that's how some of those writers look at it. They look at those numbers. Me, I look at it. You know what the most valuable player award means to me? Will you say Jalen's elite yet, Sills? No. There's only one elite quarterback in the NFL. No. You don't get that tag until you win the Super Bowl. Sorry, that's reserved for the guys who win it. No. I'm not like everybody else passing out participation medals. No, you don't get that. That's destined for only special people that win the Super Bowl. No. Is Josh Allen elite? No. Is he got elite talent? Yeah. Does Jalen? Yeah. Does Burrow? Yeah. Are they elite? No. You're not elite until you win the Super Bowl. You're not paid to finish second. End of story. Jalen outplayed Mahomes, admit it. Jalen Hurts was horrible in that game. He made 2 plays that won that game, and that's all I give a shit about. You're not going to play great in every game. Stop doing that. Mahomes was terrible too. So the 2 lesser of the evils on the 2 guys that played poorly, pick one. I didn't think either guy played great. Hey, Sills, do you really think Mahomes played great? No. No, I don't. Well, they had a lot of drops. Well, that counts to the quarterback. If interceptions count towards the quarterback and they're tips and it counts on him, it's an interception. Elite is when the talent and the success come together. When Jalen Hurts puts that Lombardi trophy up, You didn't have an elite quarterback win a Super Bowl. You had an elite performance. Should Howie bring in Darius Leonard from the Colts? No, I don't want anybody being brought in after that performance by Sean Desai. No, we don't need, you're in a rowboat right now and you're rowing the war. You really want to bring in a new guy to put in your rows right now, somebody that hasn't been through the wars and hasn't been through the pain and hasn't been through the fight. And you want to bring somebody new in right now to upset how you guys are rowing. Do you understand you're getting better defensively? Everything I said, okay? Dan Sileo, Hurts isn't elite, but Doug Williams and Nick Foles are. No, they had elite games. No. Joe Flacco's not elite. He had a really good run. I don't think Eli Manning is. There's certain guys that are up there, like Brady, Aikman, the guys who are multiple winners, guys who are leading the league, Mahomes. There's a whole league of really great players. But would I take Doug Williams over Troy Aikman in a game to win a Super Bowl? No. Would I take any of these other guys? No. You know what makes Aikman great? He never played for number. Aikman actually plays a lot like Jalen. He didn't care about numbers. He cared about running the ball, third down efficiency, and third and short. And he didn't have too big an ego to worry about what his numbers look like. It's exactly what Jalen does. It's what Brady did. Guys, you do whatever you want. We'll agree to disagree on this. I'm not debating it. I'm not changing my opinion after 30 some odd years and how I look at the special guys who are those one guy. I have to have a crew of guys that are special, or you're going to start to turn something that's really great into the NFL Hall of Fame. Some people in this chat want to play dumb. We all know what elite is. There's only one elite right now. Right. Why do you think when Jalen Hurts on what he did, that's a confidence booster. And also what it does is the people that make the decisions on voting for those awards, the MVP. But see, already the negative comments about Hurts are already being made. Well, he should be good. He was on an O-line that was, I'm sorry, but I saw an O-line give up 5 sacks and got killed when it came to the run game. And I saw Chris Jones beat the shit out of them all night long. Chris Jones basically went like this. Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, your so-called great offensive guard. Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jason Kelsey. He beat the fuck out of every one of those guys last night, and it wasn't close. All your special guys, he annihilated. I'll put our second half defense. Well, unfortunately, Trucker, there's 60 minutes to a ball game. Okay? There's 60 minutes. Look at how people want to dissect a 60-minute game and not look at it. They only read half a book to make their narrative sound like what they want it to look like. Dumbest shit ever. That was a gutsy performance by your Eagle team who was outplayed for 50 minutes of a 60-minute game. And you were able to come away from it from some of the things that Tone said earlier. Don't you think that this hardens the bow on your boat later on in the year when you need it the most, when you're down points, you're in Kansas City, and your metal's being tested? This was a will game. There's nothing you did in that game that indicates you outplayed Kansas City. You outwilled them. You can't beat outwilled, gutty, metal tested. You can't beat that. I don't care what you do. It's impossible to beat the Eagle team. Let me say this to you, man. You know what my takeaway really is from that game? You have to kill that team with a shotgun. You can't just kick it. You can't just punch it. You can't even get it down on its back. And the ref's getting ready to tap you out. You have to kill it. In the first half, you play to win the game. First half, they were crushed. That was a football game that the men, that's why, you know why I'm mad at AJ? He's the only guy on the sidelines that had no poise. Every single person who was dragging their ass all the way to the 50th minute of that football game knew they were down. When you took the lead, you took the heart out of KC. Didn't you feel it? Man, I think sometimes you guys watch a football game and you just see the back and forth. I see the emotion of the game. I know what those guys feel when you see something like that, where you've outplayed somebody and there they are, still there. That is such a pain in the ass. Everything you did, you outrushed them. You outyarded them. You had 20 more plays than them. You were better on third down. You killed them. Chris Jones was all over the place. McDuff was the best corner on the planet last night. And you still lost. You can't beat them. Oh, get this. You know what you told Kansas City last night? No matter what you do, you can't beat us. You go back home now thinking that. Dude. Eli and Peyton were trashing Johnson's play calls. He sucked. He sucked. I'll take that back. He didn't suck. He was marginal. He's not a very good play caller. Me, at the end of the year, I would change him out. I don't care what kind of boys they are. I would get somebody else in there. He's not good enough for Jalen Hurts. I'm going to make this statement to you, okay? At the end of this season, win, lose, or draw, I want him replaced. He's not good enough for Jalen Hurts. They need a different play caller in there. Okay? Sometimes I wonder what this chat wants from you sometimes. They want you to view the game the way they do. You say they outwilled Kansas City, yet they want you to kiss more ass. It was an ugly game on both sides. Eagles weathered the storm better than KC did. Simple. Plain and simple. Defense stepped up big time. Second half for sure, so did Desai. 0 points. But again, too, Desai knew that. I can't remember the last time Kansas City scored points in the second half. He knew that. He knew that, Dirty. He absolutely knew that. They had struggled all year long in the second half. Shut Kelsey down, you shut the Chiefs down. You really didn't shut Pacheco down because he had the same kind of game Swift did. Bro, stop. AJ was mad because he beat his buddy badly and let Hurts know. Okay, that's your opinion. I disagree. Okay? You can come up with all kinds of bullshit. I don't know how many times you're going to make a compromising comment for A.J. Brown when we know he talks shit on the sidelines to Hurts numerous times, and yet you think that was a good conversation. Even John Clark pointed it out. Come on, guy. Stop lying. You don't have to make you don't have to make different narratives when you know who the player is. Okay? You do not. Again, back to the point. Hurts sucked in that game. 32 quarterback rating. It was terrible. And yet, the poise he showed to make the Devontae throw, and then the way he handled himself by running the ball 11 of the 12 times in the second half. It's everything you want at that position. He is everything you want. How about this? I wish it was a different style. I'd probably like him more. But to me, it's just tremendous. Big Sills, I was at the game. I said the same thing about AJ bitching. Philly, thank you, brother. Why do they take Swift out in the second quarter? Every game Gainwell plays the second half, even when Swift was doing great. I think they really are putting him and keeping him monitored. I hate that. I get it. Because here's why, too, also. I think it's got a lot to do that it's doubled workload of any time in his career. And that's analytics. See right there? That's the analytics playing into the roster. Coaches would never do that, but the analytics keep the coaches at bay on personnel by doing exactly that. Or putting BG on a pitch count. Okay? The analytic guys, hey, let's get Gainwell to give him a little more. I don't subscribe to putting the lesser talent in there. I just don't subscribe to that. Here, let me put the lesser guy in the game. It's not a formula that I subscribe to. We all know it will be a sloppy, crappy game by both teams. Mahomes didn't play that much. No, Maniac, I don't think Mahomes played any better than him. I thought they both sucked. No. Hey, Maniac, if it came off where I said Mahomes completely, absolutely not. He sucked too. No, that's not what don't try to make that sound like I said that. I never said he played well. I have not one time said Mahomes was unstoppable. Oh, and again, have you heard me make excuses for the Chiefs and all the receivers with all those drops? No way. That's a KC thing. That is a KC thing, not an Eagle thing. You don't have better players there? Get this. Here, let me do what I do to you guys sometimes when we talk about linebackers, running backs, and safeties. Let me do a Kansas City rant here for you. How in the hell could you have a $500 million quarterback and Patrick Mahomes? You have a Hall of Fame play calling head coach, and you have a 5-cent offensive wide receiver room. How is that possible? Why in your right mind would you spend $500 million over the next 10 years on a quarterback and you have a 5-cent wide receiver room? Explain how that makes sense to me. It doesn't. It doesn't. AJ ran the wrong route because he beat his man off the line. It was a touchdown, but Jalen was under pressure and threw to the correct spot. That's not for a wide receiver to come over and start moaning and bitching. Move on to the next play. You can bitch about it after the game. Man, when that plays in the rear view, that plays in the rear view. You don't have time to sit back and dwell on shit. Okay? You have a 2-cent wide receiving room and a $500 million quarterback. I don't know. You might want to get some talent in there. And you have a half-engaged tight end now who cares about podcasting and chasing some chick around the world. Hey, if you're Kansas City, you should ask him, does he still want to play? Because that's all he's doing is playing. Hey, if you don't want to play in the NFL anymore and you want to be a movie star, have at it. It's all good. But don't do it on our time. I think it's all of it. I don't think it's just that chick. I think it's everything. I think, he's a TV star now. Hey, at least try. Hey, get this. As a matter of fact, between the Kelsey brothers, I got to tell you, man, I've never seen an offensive center have his highlight where they're just isolating on him and how he blocks and scoops and slips and everything. If I'm another center in the NFL, I'm like this. Wow, that must be nice. It's pretty cool, man. They really like these Kelsey guys. At least Jason can handle it. Tell me more about how you talked shit on Brady for breaking tablets and yelling at his team constantly and just called it being competitive. I really enjoyed last night for your team. I really did. Played horrific. Oh, wait. Okay, I'll go back. You're comparing A.J. Brown to Tom Brady. Is that right? Tom Brady to A.J. Brown. That's like comparing an ant to an aardvark. A.J. Brown for being competitive versus the guy who's got 7 rings. Will you wake me up when that dude wins one, and let's see if he's got some equity with me on being a champion. He ain't a champion yet. He's a runner-up. Always remember that. And I think that's what's fueling this team too. Let me say this to you also. He's not comparing their resumes. Well, then don't compare resume. Don't compare Brady to anybody. Brady can punch a person in the face. Brady can swear at people on the sidelines. When you got 7 rings, you can pretty much do anything you want, like Michael Jordan. You can punch players in the face. You can do those things. There's a totem pole in every locker room with guys who have done more than the other guy. There's certain chairs that are more important than that woke mentality where 53 chairs are as equal as each chair in the locker room is the dumbest shit going. Every locker has more equity in it than the next. Everybody on the team's not treated the same. This isn't a communist situation. It's a dictatorial situation where the coach is the dictator and the rest of them are basically put in classifications. The quarterback's the biggest guy in the room. The second guy will have the second most talented guy, and it goes down that. It's a pecking order. Well, everybody should be treated the same. No, everybody should be treated the same like a man, not as a football player. Don't cross the lines. Some of you want to cross the lines on that. Just because I treat you the same as I treat another man doesn't mean I treat you the same because you're a football player versus that guy. That's not how that works. Not in them rooms. Your resume buys you equity. There's levels to this shit. Absolutely, man. Well, you should treat everybody the same. Of course you should. As a man, yeah. Football player, never happened. Jimmy Johnson used to come into our locker rooms all the time and go, Emmitt Smith gets treated like this. You get treated like this. Shit. You don't like it? You don't have to be in there. When you get drafted to a team, this isn't a thing where you go to war. You can refuse this induction. That's right, Q. It's Hurts's room. Let's not cloud that line. I think Jalen does a spectacular job. Okay. Look at this guy, Riley. Think about what Riley did. We proved the Super Bowl last year was bogus. We were the better team last night, and last year that wasn't a flag on Bradbury. I can promise you the thing that Riley just said will never be anything that is in an Eagle locker room. Nobody in that Eagle locker room would think like that, who played in that game last night and overcome shitty football to win a game like that, thinking like that. Nobody. That's a loser's mentality. Bogus? Do you know what's fueling the Eagles? Super Bowl 57. I came away from that game having seen wouldn't you guys say this? When you say this, that had to be one of the worst games. Leonard released from Indy. Wow. Trying to save money. I don't know. Maybe you do talk to him, Bear. Maybe you talk to him. I don't know. I would say this to you about what that thing was. That was probably one of Jalen Hurts' worst football games he's played since he's been a starter. But it was one of the guttiest. And you know what's okay with that game last night? Was that the guy on the other side too. It wasn't like he was like 450. It was a slugfest. It was just two good teams playing against each other. It was an arm wrestling contest last night. I mean, that thing was one of those like tug of wars. See, that's the kind of game to me you get character out of. More so than anything else. And there's something you get defined in games like that. You don't get defined in games with 5 touchdowns and 350 yards. You get defined in how you have adversity. You were killed in that game for 50 minutes. You held your water. You held your poise. You showed what a championship. This game will do more for your chances at winning Super Bowl 58 than anything you've done in 2.5 years, including Super Bowl 57. Are you not getting that? I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. That performance last night did more for your chances at winning Super Bowl 58 than any game you've played in 2.5 years. Do you not get that? It was an 80s classic heavyweight fight, both fighters throwing everything they have regardless of their own safety. That was just one of those just absolutely insane games. Their quarterback sucked. Your quarterback sucked. Jalen made the play that mattered to Devontae. It was the only play in the game that was worth the shit in the air. Because those 11, 12 rushes he had in the game, get this, Jalen Hurts' running ability last night won you the game, not his throwing ability. That's what won you that ball game last night. Seals, when you look back down as a classic game, when we look back, will it go down as a classic game? I'll say this to you. It'll be a game that you remembered that was the reason you won the Super Bowl. So it'll be the game you do this. I'll give you something that Stink told me years ago. Okay? I'll give you something. No, a win is not. You see here what man says, win is a win. Not every win is equal. That's like saying the Cowboys beating the Giants and the Panthers versus the Eagles beating the Cowboys and the Chiefs is equal. I don't look at it like that. You really think what the Cowboys did, a win is a win. The Giants and the Panthers are on the same page as beating Cowboys and Chiefs. A win is a win. Really? Cowboy fans think so. You know what, David? Let me give you a secret. No, they don't. Every Cowboy fan last night watched Philly gut it out and get the win. And you know what? They're now more afraid of Philly than ever before. If you're the Cowboy front office and you're Jerry, you're like this. Man, you can't beat that team, man. It's just impossible. They played like shit and they won anyway in KC. Jared Goff had to play his ass off in Kansas City for that Lions team to win. Jalen didn't. Jalen did whatever. Hey, Jalen's run game is what won that thing. And Jalen's run ability in that one throw was it. Rest of it was not very good. 32 QBR has to be the lowest in his entire career. Has to be the lowest performance and one of the worst performances since he's been a starter. But yeah, get this. I'll remember that performance as being his most important performance. And that to me is the most important win he's ever had as an Eagle quarterback. Let's do that one. You think that's the most important win of Jalen Hurts' young career? And he played like shit. And I say it is. Easily. Nobody's going to hey, get this. You know why, Tone? 5 years from now, no one's going to quote numbers. They're going to remember they went in on a windy night, a rainy night. Into a night versus the champ. Outplayed for 50 minutes. Look at what all those close games did for you. All those games that we were talking about, how you don't have any margin of error, and what that accumulated to and what that came to in that game last night. All the shit that went on so far to get to that point prepared you for that last 10 minutes of that game. At the 8:36 mark, I said this. When they took the lead, I think it was 8:36, somewhere in there. It was somewhere around there when they took that lead. I was like, Kansas City, I think they knocked the starch out of them there. That's a defining play by Devontae Smith. You know why they're defining plays? Because you won. I don't really care about Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl performance. That's a better performance than the Super Bowl. But Jalen had better numbers in the Super Bowl. But he won. And look at the medal that Mahomes had. His wide receivers are getting destroyed by Chiefs Kingdom. They're getting destroyed. What does Mahomes do? He comes right to their defense, like Jalen would. No. We need these guys. These are my guys. We'll learn to live another day. And these guys are going to make plays down the line when we need it most to win this thing. He defended him. McNabb would throw him under a bus. There lies the difference between Hurts, Mahomes, and McNabb. McNabb's ego couldn't handle others' success in the locker room or others' behavior on the sidelines. That's what separates them. Guarantee you, if you would have seen that kind of scene for another the fourth time now with AJ and McNabb, your team would implode. And you would never win. You wouldn't have won. Get this. Donovan McNabb doesn't win that game last night. On the road versus top 2 defense, pulled it out. DRC. It's a defining game for Jalen Hurts. AJ would have been doing sit-ups. I like it. Oh yeah, no. You know, when the game ended, when the game ended, I went like this. Man, what a gutty game. To me, that was the absolute defining moment for a tough-ass city team. Guts, manning up, hanging in there, being beat up. You were beat up for 50 minutes, and you just refused. I mean, that was total Rocky shit. It was total Rocky stuff. Philly stopped Kelsey. Casey stopped AJ. And we had Smith. Mark, and your guts. That was a gut game. You know what Kansas City's thinking right now? Fuck. We hit them with everything. And we couldn't sink it. Shit. They're tougher now. You're tougher this year than last year. You're a tougher metal team than last year's team. You're tougher. I'm comfortable saying that. You're tougher. You thought we were going to lose. You're damn right I did. So, you won. Incredible. You were killed the entire game. You're making it sound like you outplayed him. You didn't. You outgutted him. Troy goes, really a defining game? Well, let's take a look at the overall besides the stat sheet. Troy, going into the world champions, defending home, being outplayed by the champs for 50 minutes and pulling it out in the end. You tell me what defining it means, because you and me have a different look at what defining is. Wentz could not have handled that either. Absolutely. You tell me what defining is. See, defining is to some people front running. Has a great game, big numbers, big win, carried it. Hey, now to me, you guys should stop doing that stupid Super Bowl stuff. That's like trying to define Michael Jordan for scoring 63 in the Garden in a loss to the Celtics. It's the dumbest conversation. Jordan's not defined by 63 in the Garden in Boston in a loss. He's defined through playing through the flu. He's defined in not scoring as much, being more of a team guy. That's what defines you. Good teams find ways to win, even if it's absolute. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay? Jalen Hurts played so good in the Super Bowl 9 months ago and lost. Jordan hit up 63. I still think that's a playoff record, even though it was in overtime. That doesn't define Jordan. Like I said, that Super Bowl 57 game doesn't define Jalen Hurts. What he did last night does. Not a good game. Horrible numbers. But found a way to do it. Jesus criminy. Why don't you guys take that as the ultimate compliment? How is that not the ultimate compliment? You didn't play your best, but you gutted it to win against the champ. How don't you look at that as the ultimate compliment? I don't get so. I don't know. Maybe I'm cut differently. I just don't. That is one of the greatest performances by a player in Eagle history. You know why? It was adversity everywhere, all night long. You were getting annihilated. Your O-line was atrocious. By the way, they didn't help him. Spagnuolo dominated the Eagle O. You were dominated for 60 minutes. Dominated. That was the worst performance by the offensive line in 2.5 years. Lane Johnson was getting killed. He pretty much was Reggie White last night, Chris Jones. He was going up and down the line of scrimmage, picking who he wanted to kill. And he killed almost every one of them. All down the line. question. Why didn't you give Jalen a game ball? Because his on-the-field numbers and all that and the impact at the game. You think Jalen had more of an impact in numbers on what Swift did? No. Do you think that what Devontae did? No. What Byard did? No. Stopping Kelsey? No. Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow? No. Reddick sack making the change for. Do you understand that what Hassan Reddick did was change formation? Okay? He made them change from tight end blocking to having to have a bigger body put on them, which changed strength. No, what I'm giving Jalen Hurts is the lead in the MVP race. That's how you become the front runner in the most valuable player race. Give those other guys the game balls. Hurts is now the leader for the most valuable player award in the National Football League's most prestigious honor. What do you want? A game ball or to get my MVP vote? If it's not Mahomes, we have 6 sacks last night. Correct. Guess you didn't watch Vic versus the Giants? Who's Vic? Sorry, I don't remember a player whose name was Vic that won anything. I remember a guy in a Madden game. That's pretty much all I remember. But I don't remember a guy named Vic who won anything. You'll have to educate me on that one. Top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 teams. I didn't get a chance to look at week 11 as it closes up. We're also going to talk to our friend Tone, our bottom of the hour here too. So we'll hit on that. And by the way, so some of you know, we start our contest up today. That is this. Please do me a favor. Send us your information to dansileoshow@gmail.com. You get a shot at winning some Hooters gift certificates and some merchandise. Gives you an opportunity at really having a great time at any one of the Hooters. We give you that chance. All you have to do is send us your information, and you could end up like the winners from this week. We always announce it on a football Monday, and we take this all the way through Friday, giving you an opportunity, and especially like our friends here, Jesse and Raymond, who were named yesterday as our winners. Happy Wingsgiving from Hooters here for the month of November. We have great specials going on. Coors Light drafts $2.99, 25 cents goes to each purchase. By the way, it looks like we're working on Big Sills coming to King of Prussia next week. So we may have an opportunity to finally get a chance to see one another. Okay. And finally, maybe have a couple beers together here. So we'll do some of that. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on there. Hooters calendars 2024 are out as well. $100 in gift cards. 9 of the girls, I believe, are featured too. Great specials like seafood Sundays, half price. The snow crabs are absolutely great. Military Mondays, 20% off. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. All you can eat. Hey, fantastic for all. We love you to go to northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. And when you roll in, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.